Hey everyone, this is Black Binder, and today we are starting a new Let's Play, something that I have wanted to find a good version of on YouTube for a while, and I just haven't found a good one. And this is a Let's Play of an MMO called Everquest. Everquest was released in 1999, I believe, and it was the first online game I ever played. I accidentally bought it because I didn't realize it was an online game, and I hated it because I couldn't play it, because you needed a credit card at the time, and I tried to take it back like 5 different times, and they just wouldn't do it. So eventually, I just begged my mom to use her credit card to let me play it, or her debit card, and she did, and it's probably one of the most impactful games that I've ever played. Now, it's had a ton of different expansions. I think 27. Its most recent expansion just came out like last month. But it has changed a ton since then. But you can still go back to the old areas and kind of relive the majesty of the older zones and everything like that. But there are also progression servers where you can basically move your way through. You unlock the content as you did, like as expansions came out before. You just have to, like, you play it for 3 months or something, and when enough people do a certain thing, then you basically unlock the next expansion. But that's not what we're doing. What I do is I play on Fiona V because it's one of the most. It says it's a role playing server, but the reason I play on it is because, from my own research, I think it is the most populated server, and I like having a bunch of people on the same server as me. Now, I rarely ever group, and I may, depends. I prefer soloing, but this is just the starting area for most people. They changed the starting city. You used to have, depending on what race you were, you pretty much had your own city. So what they did was they kind of put everybody in the same starting area in one of the expansions, and that's Crescent Reach. But that's not what we're doing. We are going to start in Qeynos because that is the first place that I started. I think I was I actually started, I think it's called Tirisfal Glades, but that's like it's the half-elf city right next to Qeynos, or Qeynos. But that was the human city. We are a human. They wouldn't let me name myself just Black, so I had to do Black Binder. I was going to use the surname to make it Binder, but oh well. This will have to do. I hate that lowercase b, but it's going to have to stay that way for now. I'll probably stick in third person. I prefer first person, but I know people hate that, so I'm going to go into third person probably for the whole thing. But anyway, we are an Enchanter. I played pretty much every class. No, I don't want the petition webpage. Anyway, I've pretty much played every class. My main class way back when in 2000, like I was so young, I had no clue what I was doing, but I was a necromancer. And the highest level I ever got was to 59 to get my Spectre pet. But this time around, I think we'll go Enchanter. Enchanters can charm things, and they can get very, very powerful pets via charming. But charm, it doesn't necessarily last. Like, it'll say you get a 5-minute charm. Well, the enemy is constantly trying to resist it. So, like, every tick, he'll try to resist your charm, and he may break off early, so it's kind of a big risk versus reward thing with the Enchanter. We might as well at least turn in our guild note for our robe, just so we don't look like a warrior. All classes and races get a version of this, and it's just something you turn in for your first chest piece armor, basically. Now, there's a lot of stuff we can do here. This area, Crescent Reach, they've basically turned it into kind of like a WoW area or whatever. It's more quest oriented. Back in the day, you explored. There were quests, but very few and far between. Well, that's not necessarily true. There were a lot of quests, but they weren't. You didn't do quests for experience 95% of the time. There were a few quests that you could do for quick experience, but they were mostly for items and stuff like that. or reputation or something like that. Because if you were a dark elf and you tried to go to the human city, they'd kill you on sight. If you were a dark elf and you went to most cities, they would kill you on sight. I think the trolls and the ogres kind of tolerated them, but that's about it. But basically, I could have started in Qeynos, but I wanted to show you guys the run. If you ever started your own character, this is what I had to go through, because I didn't. It's free to play, but if you go free to play, they don't let you start in the old cities, or at least they didn't when I tried. So you have to run basically through this mini little gauntlet, and they switched where the teleport was to go like where you're supposed to go. So I like ran all the way out into this higher level area and just could not freaking find my way. Now this guy, as you can tell, is probably Santa Claus. Oh yeah, it's Christmas time. So this is a Christmas event. So let's go ahead and see what he has to say. Happy Frostfell to you. Santa is here to bring the holiday spirit. If you want to join the Frostfell funds, there are a few things you can do. So you can say things, or you can just click on it. Now, you used to have to actually talk to them to get them to give you the quests. There are some things you can help me with. The Grimps stole my gift list. Also, me so busy making some of the gifts me lost, I haven't gotten time to do something special. If you have the Frostfell spirit, you can help me with it. All right, what gift list? My list. It was torn to shreds by the Grimps when the Grinnock captured me. I need that list back. It is very important. Will you please help me get my list back? Okay, I will help you. Quest log. This, I'm guessing, we'll just find it as we go. The Gimps who tore me list apart probably still have fragments of it. Go bonk as many of them foul critters in the head as you need to find me list. They may be hard to find as they know how to become invisible. You may also need someone who can track them. Okay, so we can't track, but I think eventually we can see invisible, so we should be okay. Alright, so we don't need the sit button. Get rid of that. And then, what spirit? Yes, now come close. I tell you what I need. There is one little child on my list that is extra special. Her name is T-Man, or T-Num, and she's very sick and has no parents. She came and sat on my lap and asked me for one thing, a clockwork dolly. Yes, that's right, and here's the problem. You can't make a clockwork dolly. There is only one clockwork dolly in the world, and it's owned by a mean old Scrooge gnome named Ebenezer. We want you to find a way to Ebenezer's Frostfell spirit and get the clockwork dolly from him so that me and you can make little T-Nam's Frostfell extra special. Will you get this from Ebenezer? Yes, sure. He is in the Butcher Block Mountains, somewhere we will not be for a very long time, so we can just basically ignore that. But yeah, that's events. Those are in all MMOs. But anyway, we are going out here. And we won't really be doing... What I'm going to be doing is sticking to the old areas and the old zones. But as the power creep has come along, and with the right mercenary, we can actually do a lot of the old zones that I only wished about getting into, like Runny Eye, or... well, Runny Eye is still difficult because it trains like hell. Like, you aggro tons of mobs because they can see just, like, through the wall just a little bit. So if you like get next to a wall, they will aggro you and come get you. Now, each of these zones is, you have to load through into a zone. Like WoW doesn't really have that unless you're taking like you're going into an instance or something. But these, every place we go to is separated basically by a wall, and the wall loads you into a new area. And this place is huge. Like, it's a good way to... Going from here, northwest Antonica to northeast Antonica, if you just ran there, it'd probably take you about 2 hours. 2 hours if you don't die. Here's Lukeland. This is a small, like, it's just the moon. And these are all the zones in it. So it's crazy huge. I'd say there's about 200 zones, maybe more, in the whole game. But yeah, it's very, very big. Now this is basically the newbie area for the Draken or if you started in Crescent Reach, which is what we are. But we're heading our way back to one of the older zones. And we're going to level basically through dungeons and just exploring basically. So click on this. This takes you... These were added in the Planes of Power expansion, and it basically added the Plane of Knowledge. The Plane of Knowledge is just a place where... it's basically the main hub of the game now. But there's usually a bunch of people here, and there's gates to not everywhere on the world, but to like every main continent you can get to, or every main city basically. And then from there you can figure out where to go. All right, can we actually get mercs yet? I don't know if we can. No, I don't think we can yet. Oh, here we go. All right, we want a tank merc if we can afford one. I think they should be free for now. Do we got one? Okay, yes we do. And we have a human one. Different mercenaries have different, basically what they can be. And eventually you have to pay, like, not real money, but gold you find in the world to have a mercenary. So like a gold and then a platinum and then 2 platinum or something like that. But I'm starting with no money, and I always do that because I hate giving myself basically twinking, which is what I accidentally almost gave away yesterday. Twinking is when you give yourself as a low-level character a lot of money. But we are not going to do that. The Nexus, that was the old hub, basically. That is on the moon. Let me see. There's a ton of people like in the plane of knowledge, and it's a big place too. Like it's no joke. You can get extremely lost in this game, and it is so fun to do that. Like when I played through it last, all I did was explore, and I eventually leveled up. You know, you don't have to do quests. You can just, if you find like a freaking an undead house stuck like somewhere where you would never find it, but it's a whole zone to itself, the Estate of Unrest, you can go there and explore. That's a really good leveling area around level 13, 14. Like, you level up so quickly, it's almost like you're gone in 2 hours. But it's always been a really good leveling spot. And then there's also hot spots and stuff like that. But I really don't pay attention to that until you get up to, like, level 60. Then leveling kind of slows down a little bit. But what I'm hoping to do is with a mercenary. The tank mercenaries are what you want because they still do good damage. And they regenerate a crap ton. Because it's just, they regenerate basically a flat amount, it almost seems like. Or it's a percentage, but there's a flat amount in the beginning, and for level 1 it's just insane. Normally I would not take a yellow. This is, if you can see down here in the right corner, he cons yellow. That means he's just a little bit higher level than me, usually 1 or 2 levels higher than you. Now usually as a caster, you either let your pet fight while you sit back and try to efficiently kill them, but in the beginning we're probably not going to do that because we'll regenerate. Our spells don't cost very much mana, so we'll regenerate quickly. But you have to practice every type of spell you get. Or, as you can see down here, your Shallow Breath spell fizzles. Let me look here real quick. Shallow Breath is an alteration skill. So the more you use alteration skills or spells of any kind, the more likely your alteration skill is to go up. So each spell, oh shit, I spoke too soon. How did my guy, they may have fixed tanking mercenaries. It's been a while since I've actually played one because this guy's only level 2. Well, we got lucky. We pierced him for 4. We'll have to wait 5 minutes to get our mercenary back, but we don't actually. That doesn't matter because we can kill level 1 stuff fairly easily. It used to be you had to sit down and your book would take up your whole screen, and you just had to look at your book to regenerate mana quicker. But now they've changed it to where 30 seconds after battle you get this little thing, and it makes you regenerate health and mana really quickly. Basically what that did was it made most classes, except for necromancers, just a pain to solo. What you want to kill in the beginning here is these gnolls, these gnoll pups. They have a chance to drop bags, basically. And because of all the expansions we've had, I don't know which one, but they added a set of gear that can drop pretty much on off of anything, Defiant gear. So there's a chance of that dropping off of anything, and it's so amazing. Like, if you've played WoW or something, you probably wouldn't think it's that great, but like at level 30 or 35 in this game, that's when you just started seeing like a little bit of stats on items, like +1 strength or something like that. And the Defiant gear has so much more. It's got like 5 strength, 5 constitution, 10 hit points, stuff like that, which is basically which is basically end game gear back then, probably even better. Let's not use advanced looting. I want to just loot the body. Maybe I have to kill something else before it actually. Be careful of the clicknicks here, the fire beetles or the clicknicks. They aggro like crazy. They like talking to each other. The decaying skeletons, everything around here should be indifferent for now, except for the gnolls. Let me see. Yeah, the gnolls are still ready to attack. There's Dejur Darkpaw. He's level 3. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen him before. He might be an event NPC. Let me ask. Did they nerf tank mercs? They did need to be nerfed, so whether they did or not, they really should have. Oh my god, I cannot hit him. Alright, yep, there we go. This is the old loot screen. And that is what I prefer unless I'm in a group, because then you got somebody, if you were trying to go through all the loot in a group, it would just, one person would basically have to do it the entire time. Because you get a ton of trash loot, and you don't know what everybody needs or wants. But basically, we need to get... What we need to get is up to a decent level to where we can get some gold, some spells, and then from there we can kind of... The fighting is quicker, I guess. Not necessarily that the things die quicker, but I don't have to sit and meditate after every fight. Let's move this over here. Loot all. Now, let's check him just to be sure. Amiably. What are you doing here? He doesn't say. Now, there's a bunch of secrets in this game, too. And here is one that pretty much everybody knows about. It's an alternate way. Prince Clicknick. It's the Qeynos sewers. And it's basically like an alternate starting zone. You can kind of go down there. There's the Necromancer Guild is down there. But you don't want to go that way to get to the Necromancer Guild. You'd probably die long before you got there. Taskmaster. What is that? Nope, I'm not ready for his tasks. I'm guessing those are quests. There are daily tasks that we'll do for pretty decent pieces of equipment, but I don't think you can even get them till a level 10 or so. And then the idea for this Let's Play is just to go through as far as I can get solo. I don't think... I've never really liked group content. I just like seeing what I can explore on my own and how far I can get into. Way back when, a necromancer was pretty much king at doing that. They can heal themselves. They can regenerate mana quickly. They can feign death. So if they get too much of a pull or too big of a pull, they can kind of fall over dead and pretend and lose aggro. So they were really good at that. Because the only way to drop aggro in this game is the Enchanter, I think, can eventually mesmerize things and make them forget their aggro list. But for pretty much 95% of the game, for most people, they just have to run out of the zone and come back. Which is, obviously on the bigger zones, takes forever. Like it could have taken you an hour to get down into the end place in a certain zone, and you have to run all the way out. It's hard but fun. Is that Fippy? Yes, Fippy Darkpaw. We want to stay away from him. Every once in a while, Fippy goes on a suicidal charge onto the Qeynos gates, but he also yells before he does it, so you can usually get out of the way. But you can't. You don't want to sit at the gate because he might get a few hits off on you and kill you before the guards do. There he goes. Well, there's one guard going after him. The other two didn't seem to see him. Alright, here we go. Crude Defiant Chain Sleeves. Now, the crude will change, but they will always be Defiant something. And look at this. Strength 4, Stamina 10, 4 Intelligence. This is insane. Normally, if I could get an arm piece this low of a level, it would be like something like a 1 armor class. So that's part of the power creep. It's part of the reason we can go down into dungeons that used to be for only like groups and stuff like that. And then in the Planes of Power update or expansion, they came out with basically these. It's hard to explain what they are exactly. They were basically manifestations of like disease, the plane of disease, or the plane of disease was basically like you once you got in there. I didn't realize this until long after I played it, but it's basically the human skin. What I thought were pillars were like hair, and the ground was skin, and there's mosquitoes everywhere, and the manifestation of what you see is the entrance and exit, because it's basically a god's realm. So for your mind to understand what it is, like, you see the plane of disease not for what it is, but for what you can imagine without going crazy. So the plane of disease was like the human skin, and the plane of innovation is just a huge junkyard full of clockwork, discarded clockwork mechanical stuff. And what would be another one? Plane of Fire. That one's pretty easy. It's basically like a fire castle. That used to be the end raid, is the Plane of Fire. What else? There was the Plane of Sky. It was a bunch of islands connected by a huge chain. Alright, forgot our first level, and we got some Defiant Plate Vambraces. I think we should have enough gold now, and now that we're level 2, we can go check out our spells, because even at level 1, you have a ton of spells. That's what I love about this game, is that, like for WoW, you get one level, or you get one spell every, like, what, 10 levels? It's just, or every 5 levels sometimes, if you're lucky. It's just so crappy. But here, every single level, they used to separate them into groups every 4 levels, but now they do it basically every level. You can go get a new spell, multiple new spells. Except for bards. Bards get one new spell every level. That's how they work. But if you are a spell class, they have intelligence spellcasting classes and wisdom spellcasting classes. Actually, we also use charisma because we're an enchanter. But anyway, besides that, yeah, you get tons and tons of spells, to the point where playing a melee until, like, melees eventually will get abilities, but they really, really suffer. Because, like, a warrior, back in the day when you started a warrior, you basically you would hit for not just 50 levels. So that's all you could really do. Hit and kick, or hit and bash and taunt. And that's about it. So it's just not really fair. I mean, yes, they get the cool equipment and everything like that. Like, it looks really cool. Like, they can get plate armor and everything like that. But it's just not... It wasn't what I considered fun. I like working towards my spells and everything like that. Get something new every time. Yeah, the next spell might be Shallow Breath version 2 or, like, Exasperating Breath or something. But you also get new, different kinds as well. And you can even, like, non-battle spells as well. Enchanters are, like, the main example of this. They can basically get... Enchanting is a trade skill, right? Well, to do enchanting, like to make jewelry, you have to have enchanted bars. Well, enchanters are the only people who can enchant bars. So you could be use jewelry skill or whatever as a necromancer, but you'd have to get an enchanter to sell you the enchanted bars, which was fun. And then later on in the game, this research skill, your spells would be ripped into pieces, and you'd have to find them and then patch them back together with certain ingredients and everything like that. I'm gonna up my alteration real quick. Where is it? It just helps. If you're melee, put it in one-hand blunt or two-hand blunt or whatever you're going to use. I'm going to put it in abjuration too because I know that's going to be lagging behind. My abjuration always lags behind because I just don't... Like, this buff lasts 15 minutes. Why would I ever need to recast it, you know? Now we need to find the enchanter that sells our spells. Usually you can... do it by cost, and that will be, you can see on here, Enchanter 14, so no. Enchanter 13. Actually, what we first need to do is we need to sell. These should give us 1 platinum. That's amazing. This early on, like, you get silver. Like, the highest gold thing you could find in Qeynos was like a plague rat tail or something, and it would be worth a couple gold. So getting 1 platinum this early on is insane. Yeah, like, see these snake scales, 1 silver. The rat ear, 1 silver. And bone chips, there's uses for them. You can keep them, but I'm not going to. Here's a good one. King Snake Poison Sack. That was always available. You could sell it for 2 gold. That's a good one. Snake Fang, 3 silver, or 3 copper, 8 copper. Oh yeah, and you need to eat food too, or you can't regenerate. Bandages, we won't need those because we hopefully won't be getting hit. Alright, so that guy does not have our spells. Let's see if this guy does. If you go to in the plane of knowledge, they'll have labels on them, but I don't want to go all the way back there just for a couple spells right now. So we just have to find... I don't think that they share it with the... Do they? Okay, they do. Magician's really fun. Magician is basically a wizard, but they get really, really powerful pets. Probably the strongest in the game. I would imagine even stronger than the Beast Lord. Where are you? Research spells, Enchanter, research spells. Where the heck are the Enchanter spells? Right here. Okay, I think this is where we go. Enchanter 1. Weaken your opponent, lowering their strength. Okay, we want that. Tashan, level 2 needed. Causes your target's ears to echo with... Okay, lowers their magic resistance. That's not really useful this early on, but it is really useful later on. Tears the magic from your target, causing their enchantments to fade. Okay, that's decent. Suffocating Sphere. This is level 4. We should have a lot more at level 1. Oh, here we go. Level 1. I was doing it by cost, but it's better to do it by level. Strengthen. We can use this on our pets. Obviously a buff. Pendrill's animation. Animate a weapon and shield to attack your enemy. Consumes a tiny dagger when cast. Minor illusion. That's just something fun. Doesn't really do anything. Lull. Lulls the mind of your target, lowering its aggressiveness for 2 minutes. Okay, that means it lowers their aggro range, so you can basically kind of move your way around them. And then here, Mesmerize. This is what enchanters were used for back in the day, because even with a good group, you just could not take multiple enemies at a time. Maybe you could take 2 at a time if you were lucky, but it was very, very inefficient. So what they would do is if they got if they couldn't pull by one, they would use the Enchanter to either lull one enemy so you could pull the other one without getting aggro on another, or if you did bring two, they would Mesmerize them. And this causes your opponent to fall into an enchanted sleep for up to 24 seconds. This spell works on creatures up to level 55, and it would just make them stand there, so long as you didn't freaking hit them. People sucked at hitting mesmerized creatures. All right, this one's actually, I guess we got another pet spell. We get one at level 1 and 2. Haze causes your target's image to blur, making it harder for your opponent to hit you by increasing your armor class. So more buffs. Fear is really good. That's how you, back in the day, necromancers would fear a target after slowing them down, so they just slowly walk away while your pet could beat on them. It was a really efficient way to kill things. But this is level 3. Let's go ahead and get our level 3 spells anyway. Fear, Color Flux, Suffocating Sphere, Enfeeblement. Alright. I think that's all. Nope, we get Illusion Human. Well, we don't really need that. Illusion Half Elf. We might need that. Oh, our inventory is full. Okay. So, then once you get your spell scroll, you just keep accidentally clicking on stuff. You mesmerize them. That puts them in your book. I think down here is best. Over here is where my bags go, because you can get a ton of bags, and it just clutters up the whole thing if you don't get them organized. Now, even something as simple as regenerating mana, the more you sit down, the better you get at it. I don't think we've gotten any better at it, but you can tell. Actually, I don't even know if we have meditating yet. You can see the NPCs are kind of talking in the background. I imagine it gives you a hint as like to quests and stuff like that. All right, so one is Shallow Breath. That's our main damaging ability. We'll put our buffs at the end. Weaken, yeah, we'll probably want that at 2 because that is an offensive spell. In the beginning, it takes a long time to mesmerize spells or to scribe them. Well, which one is it? Memorize or scribing is putting them in the book. Memorizing them is getting them ready to cast. Now, we don't need Pendrill's animation because we already have Julie's animation. That is an Enchanter's pet. They're very weak and you can't control them. But if you there are ways to get hit by the enemy even if your tank has control of the mob. So it's good to have regardless. Just more passive damage, basically. All right, we don't need lull. If we do need lull, I'll be able to memorize it when the time comes, but we won't need it now. I will get out Minor Illusion just to show you what it does. And then, like, see how big this book is? It goes up to... Well, how big does it actually go now? I think it only used to go to page 50, but I completely filled mine up before. There's just so many spells that you get. Enchanter gets more than most, I would think, except for maybe Druids and Wizards, because they also get teleport spells, but Enchanters get a lot of money-making spells, basically, like enchanting gold bars and stuff like that. Okay, so, Minor Illusion, what does it do? It looks around your area and turns you into one of the items. That's all it does. And it doesn't even, it won't shield you from mobs either. Okay, now let's go ahead and get we've got our pet out. Let's go ahead and buff him. And then even if you don't need to buff him, just do it. Because trust me, if you get a higher level, I just weakened him. Awesome. If you get a higher level spell of Strengthen and you haven't been using your lower level ones, it's just going to fizzle over and over and over again. And that takes mana, even if that takes mana every time it fizzles. Enchanter spells. I need Enchanter supplies. because you can't just summon. Pretty much every summon requires, almost every summon requires a reagent. Can I use any of these? I can use True North, but I don't want that. Let's grab Invisibility and Gate, though. We don't need them yet, but we will. Because they're level 4. Jesus, they were 3 platinum each? Oh, no, I have 3 platinum. Okay. Come on, who has the tiny daggers? Who has the tiny daggers? Come on. Somebody does. Alchemy, it used to be something only shamans could do, but I don't know if that's the case anymore. Seriously, no tiny daggers? Where the hell am I supposed to get tiny daggers? Pretty sure I already checked here, but let's check again. No, you are not. It's the guy I sold all my stuff to. There's a dagger, but not a tiny dagger. Throwing knife, which is a tiny dagger, but not a tiny dagger. Oh my god, hold on just a second. Oh gosh, dang it. I guess there isn't any. Oh well. We can go to the... I'll grab some in the Plains of Power in between episodes. Nope. Don't get caught in here. It's a pain to get out. There is a... you can get into the sewers from that area too. Let's go over to the PvP area. You can kill these rodents. The people won't get mad at you. Satchels. I want backpacks. There are better things to buy for backpacks, but this is what I want to use. I don't remember what the other ones were. I think they are giant tailoring things, but I don't remember. Giant tailoring kits or whatever. This is the arena. There's a place you can turn in Null Teeth, I think, up there. That's one of the few equipment, or one of the few experience quests you can do. We are obviously not twinking our guy. Twinking is giving a lot of high... There never used to be level requirements on the items in this game. So you could give yourself a level 40 weapon on a level 1 warrior, and it would just one-shot stuff. There were damage caps, but you broke through them like every 10 levels or something like that. But still, hitting max damage every single time is crazy good. And you could twink yourself in other ways too. You could give yourself the Rubicite breastplate, which gives you basically a permanent regeneration effect, which is awesome. Or you can get your level 50 druid to just come and cast regeneration on you. This is kind of where boxing, for me at least, began. I don't know if Ultima Online had twinking and boxing, but boxing is where you basically... I have this open, I'll open another one with another account, and then I can basically play 2 accounts at once. I did that with my dwarf warrior and his cleric dwarf friend. It was pretty fun. It's like you were breaking the rules or something. There used to be an exit into the sewers from here, but I can't find it. But it's very dangerous anyway. You don't want to, even if you could. But yeah, way back when, humans have no night sight. Like, they have no night vision. Like, dark elves will have night vision, so it kind of turns everything blue, but they can still see at night. Half elves, I think half elves, or maybe elves have infravision, which is kind of the same thing, but not as good as night vision, but it turns it red. And then, but humans, if they don't have a light source, like a light stone or a greater light stone or a torch or something like that, you could not see like 2 feet in front of you. And it was hilarious. I would get stuck out into, not in the Qeynos hills, or I always call it Qeynos, but Qeynos I think is the proper pronunciation. It's Sony EQ backwards, and that was the producer or something like that. But anyway, I would get lost. I couldn't see anything, and then when the sun came up, I would realize I was halfway across the damn zone. I tried giving people boat rides for money around the little pond in Qeynos Hills. There's a quest you can do in here, but I don't know if we're high enough level or not. He has a plague rat up here that he wants us to kill. I don't think this is it, but we'll kill it anyway. Yeah, it looks like it did. Rat head. All right, crude defiant bracer, so we can sell those for even more money. We need the crude cloth items, not the crude chain or plate. All right, what did we get? 5 copper. Awesome. We're rich now. Sell it for 8 silver. Sell it for 1 platinum. And he doesn't have any tiny daggers either. Do you? Oh, here we go. Nope, that's way too expensive. 39 platinum. I couldn't buy that even if I wanted to. 7 intelligence. That's crazy. That's the monk guild over there. They had a really good quest line for a belt that you kept having to turn in. Basically like a taekwondo belt. You'd turn it in and you'd eventually get like an orange one or something. Now, if I remember right, this is a trap. Actually, I think it's right there. So we're not going to go any further down, but this guy's got some shady business going on in here. The crow's nest, right? Crow the bartender. Is it the crow's nest? No, Crow's Pub and Casino. All right, let's go back out, and eventually at level 4, I think we will go to Black Burrow, which is the first dungeon over here. It's a dungeon of gnolls, and it goes like really. It's like even for a first dungeon, it's crazy. It goes super deep and it's super dangerous. Like even when you're higher than anyone there, which is like I think the highest guy there is like 16, not counting the boss. But even if you get higher than him, it's so dangerous because you can aggro so many things. But we're an enchanter, so I don't think we have to worry about anything like that. Occasionally, I will weaken these guys just to keep well, I guess it's alteration, so we don't need to, because we will be casting Shallow Breath. I will cast Weaken on the melee-focused guys. Nope, Cloth Veil. I was hoping it was a Defiant Cloth Veil. But we will be spending a level or 2 in each dungeon and then going to all the cool places that I could never get to back when I wasn't very strong and I didn't like to group. Usually a group back then would be some kind of tank, which was the warrior, shadow knight, paladin. I think Even a monk could tank early on, but not very well. Magician pets can still tank. I'm not sure if they can tank endgame stuff, though. I assume they would, because mages can solo the entire game. Rangers are good soloers if you go after human targets, because they get something called headshot, which does a ton of damage if the target is a humanoid, I believe. Or it has, yeah, humanoid, I think. What do we got here? We're at 17%, and then once we get to level 4, we can take off. I would like to at least get to level 4 before... I think we're going to make these around an hour or so. You really can't get much progress done in a half an hour. I mean, you can, but... I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Because if I don't play for at least an hour, then I'm going to want to play more, and I'm just going to make another character and run him up. And then I'll be level 50 by the time this guy is level 10. That is the only issue with doing Let's Plays of games that you like, is that it's painfully slow. Because you can only play when you're recording. And then it's kind of cheating if you just record it all ahead of time. Fire beetle? No, because there's too many fire beetles over there. If you see over in the lower left, there are people having conversations and new players in general chat. So it is, like, it's definitely not a dead game, at least not on this server. I don't know about all the other servers, but this one is pretty populated at all times. Not exactly sure how a role-playing server became the go-to server, but who knows. What is that? Skeleton parts. Let's go ahead and keep grabbing these decaying skeletons. No, here, Dejur. Is he? He's still level 3. I think we can kill him if I have full mana. So we'll just wait. Right now, look at this. Going up 9% when we're sitting down each tick. That's insane. Like, it would take me seriously about 5 minutes at the earliest to regenerate my mana as a necromancer way back when the game started. And if you were trying to regenerate health, like, it would seriously be like an hour to regenerate your full health bar. There was really nothing you could do. I mean, you could bandage yourself, and monks had a mend ability that they could use. But I guess, yeah, you can't bandage above 50% health for the most part. Eventually you can with higher level abilities, but I think so long as you could kill things with only 50% life, you could technically heal yourself back up. But I don't know how likely that was unless you had amazing equipment. And the only ways you had amazing equipment is if you knew decent places to make money and you could buy it, or you had a decent group that you could go into dungeons with. Although, now that I say that, there were always groups for dungeons back in the day. It was really awesome. Like, people would fight over spawns outside and everything. Like, if this guy was a quest spawn, there'd be people, or an experience farm, people would be fighting over it to see who gets to kill him. This one time, I held a camp as a necromancer. It was just me, but it was normally a camp for at least 3 people, and I was holding it by myself, and people would get pissed. It was these split paw spires, which is a really decent place to level up still, because it was one of the first places the enemies would drop fine steel weapons, and fine steel weapons sold for 4 platinum each. So you just basically, you would loot until you got a fine steel weapon, and then the next person would loot, and then the next person would loot. It was really cool. You kind of we had to make our own, like, loot rules and shit like that. There was no everybody gets their own separate loot, like Borderlands and stuff like that. Borderlands 3. Borderlands 2, you also had to share loot, which was really annoying. But with this game, it was better because you would just immediately get kicked out of the group. And then people would like kind of remember your name. And if you got a bad reputation, you would be screwed. I actually, when I was little, I did a bad thing. When you trade with people, you pick up something and you click on them, and there were places where people traded on, like on my old server, it was Greater Fate Arc. So what I did was I turned myself invisible, and I would stand in front of people near the bank, and they would just click accept. They wouldn't look at the name, and it was not nice. I got a very, very good spiked shield doing that once. But I was like fucking 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old, so actually it's probably younger than that. So you can't really blame me. It was my parents' fault. Oh yeah, and there were no shared banks back in the day. So if I wanted to give something, if I didn't have somebody to help me, if I wanted to give something to one of my alts, I would find a hiding spot, take the item or the bag, throw it on the ground, then hurry up, log out, and come back and grab it. It's so funny because like items are persistent in the world for a while. Beggar. He might. Nope, he's red. Oh, he's amiable. That means he kind of likes me. Nope, he's owned. That's the zone line right there. I wonder if I still have my maps downloaded. You have to download map packs to actually have the map. They have the map thing, but to use the map you have to like get your own maps. I don't understand why they made the interface, but they didn't make the maps. So people made their own. Decaying skeleton. I think Fippy comes from the other side, so we should be okay. I just saw him scream. Oh yeah, this game is so old that there's actually battle music. Most people, I imagine most people turn it off. I just turn it down to 5%. Although, I do turn it off if I'm watching something, like YouTube or something. This is a great YouTube game. Like, you watch YouTube while you're playing it solo or something like that, or grinding up trade skills or something. Because in this game, I guess it's kind of like WoW in a sense, Cloth Cape. At least give us 1 AC. But like all the trade skill items, you can buy some of them, but pretty much most of them, like even cooking, you would need bat wings. So you'd have to go and kill bats. But their main drop isn't a bat wing. You know, it's like a 10-15% chance to drop a bat wing. So if you couldn't find someone selling them, then you had to just grind them up yourself, and it would take forever to do things like that. The only one that I can remember that actually I bought my way to 120, which was I think halfway to max, was pottery. And I don't even know why I was doing it. There was no reason for me to do it. There's no like pottery equipment that you can use. It's basically you're making pottery. Pottery is kind of like a secondary skill for cooking, so you could like make molds and stuff for cake. I did eventually get high enough to make birthday cake. You had to kill brownies for it. Brownies are these extremely difficult to kill little brown elves. Like, they have really good magic and stuff like that, and they have a little brownie city. It's like really tiny. It's like basically this. It's a little house, but it's the brownie city, and there's a merchant in there and everything. Like if you got reputation high enough, or I think if you're an enchanter, you can turn into something that lets you buy from them, but I don't actually remember what. Lots of cool things you could do in this game. He is even, so we should be okay to take him. Oh my god, I keep fizzling. Screw it. Take him out, Samther. This is kind of how fighting goes for casters later on. You do something to hurt them, like a damage over time spell is probably the most efficient. But then you either fear them or root them or send a pet on them and they hold it while you kind of sit back and cast more and more and more. And with mercenaries, it's kind of changed that just a little bit because I ran up a wizard a while ago, like a year ago. I think it was a little more than a year ago. And I got the wizard mercenary too. So we would just nuke the crap out of stuff. But I was like level 56 and I got pissed off at him because I had run a magician up as well. And the magician at level 49 had a spell that hit harder than my wizard. And, you know, the wizard was like at level 50 through 60, like that was a huge thing. It was like one of the first level cap increases. So they gave you, like, it was so hard to go up from level 51 to 52. Like, and it was such an event that it would change your class name. Like, you would go from a cleric to a priest to a vicar and grand high priest or some crap like that. But the wizard, I just kept getting worse and worse spells. Yeah, some of the cast times were better, but a lot of them were just, oh, enemies can't resist this very easy, which would be great for like raids and stuff, but it wasn't helping me with the common like rabble basically. So I eventually gave up my wizard because it's like I got a new spell that hit for 700, but it's hard to resist. Okay, well I could hit for 1,000 at level 50, so, or at 51 or something with Ice Comet. But I think the max level is like 120, so I'm sure they get better eventually. Oh my gosh. There we go. I thought I was getting close. Alright, we are level 3 now. Let's go ahead and memorize our level 3 spells. Fear. We won't need that because we don't have a snare or anything like that. You don't want to fear something just out of nowhere because if it takes off, it's going to grab a ton more people. Let's see, what's Haze do? That is the better tanking spell. Color Flux, I think, is an AoE stun. Creates a wave of intense color around you that assaults your opponent's senses, briefly stunning all nearby creatures. That will just get me in trouble, but I'll go ahead and memorize it anyway. Actually, you know what? Let's go, I want to go see I want to show you the library and the plane of knowledge. It's pretty intense. Where is my memorization thing? I think it was down here. So you can get horses and stuff like that, which for casters is really good. It increases your movement speed. That's awesome because as you can tell, I'm very slow. But there are other ways too to increase your movement speed. Actually, I might check out the auction house to see if I can buy some Spirit of Wolves. But also, when you're sitting on a horse, did you recognize that word there? When you're sitting on a horse? Well, if you have a horse out, you're always meditating, basically, as long as you're not moving. So when you sit down like this, you aggro enemies because they say, oh, he's sitting down, let's go beat the crap out of him because your defense goes to 0 or something like that. And they can basically always hit you for max amount of damage. But get in there. Why is it not working? Is this the wrong one? Let's try you. Huh. It is not working. But yeah, so horses are extremely, extremely expensive. Like the very first one, which is almost probably slower than you actually walk. And it also slows down and speeds up slowly, accelerates and decelerates slowly. But even those are 10 grand. I think 110 grand. That's platinum too. Why can't I use this? Not sure. Well, I'll figure it out. Well, there we go. It suddenly went. I'm wondering if the server's lagging because so many people are logging in for the Christmas event. I would hope not. I guess we'll see how long it takes to load. Plane of Knowledge is where everybody congregates, so if it takes a long time to load, it's actually already taken too long. I wonder if I crashed. Alright, well, we're at an hour, and this is where we're going to end off for now. I'm going to do one of these every day. Probably go for an hour. I haven't really decided yet. But if you like it, let me know. I'm going to do it regardless. I'm not doing it for views. I'm just doing it because I want something like this on YouTube, and this is really the only way that it's going to happen, I think, because it's such an old game. And, once I get to a certain place with this guy, like I'm happy with him, I might move on to Everquest 2. I might do other MMOs like this. Maybe even try new ones, but I don't know. New MMOs are hard for me to get into. WoW is definitely an option as well, but we'll see. I've played through WoW so many damn times. I pretty much know everything. But yeah, up there behind that pillar, that big thing up there, that's the library, I think. There are a ton of, basically every spell merchant is in there. Holy cow, this zone is loading super slow. Oh, that's why they're having some kind of guild event here. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. I keep my settings turned up too. I could probably turn it down if I wanted to. Jesus, what is this? Valhalla. Oh yeah, these are the guys. They're doing Christmas events or some crap over here. It's a guild, I think, doing Christmas events. And they're all in an unknown tongue too. You have to learn languages on the role-playing server, so. But it's fairly easy. Look at that. Jesus. This is laggy. Alright, let's get out of here. I don't like getting free stuff. It's just not. I like getting it for myself, or at least making the money myself. There are a few places I know to make money that are still decent, and we might do that. Bind my soul, please. Alright, now every time we gate or we die, we will come back to this spot, which is good because there are portals to everywhere in the world here, or every major city in the world. But alright, so if you like what you see, leave a like, tell me how I can do it differently. If any of you are veterans of Everquest, please let me know, because we're a dying breed. There's fewer and fewer of us because it was so long ago. We're dying out, literally. So take it easy, guys, and thanks for coming along. Later.